Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to our first Spring 2025 TVE Happy Math Hour, our weekly interactive math reviews for Math 1314 and Math 1324, presented by Yvette Chuca, Ruben Carizales, and Albert Isasi. Our session will be starting soon. This session will be recorded so that you may come back to it later if you need, and so others who may have missed out on today's events will be able to come and watch it. This session will provide Tejano passport points, and the code will be posted on the chat towards the end of the session. So now at this time, please make sure that your mics are muted for the best sound experience. Otherwise, the feedback could interfere with information we will be sharing. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to our presenter so that we may begin.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to Friday Happy Math Hour. We are excited to do this every semester, and we hope that you will keep joining us. So we're going to get started today with just an introduction to how to sign up for your homework systems, and then we'll get into some topics that maybe you saw covered in your classes this week. And so if you're taking a Math 1314, 314, or 114, then we'll be using WebAssign. If you're taking Math 1324, 324, or 0124, you will be using MyMathLab. So first, we'll talk about WebAssign for a couple of minutes. In order to get into WebAssign, there's really two ways that you might run into. The first way is you're going to need a class key that is provided by your instructor. And so you would go to the website and then you would click on class key. So the class key usually looks like this. It has EPCC and some numbers, but some of you are not going to need a class key. Instead, you'll go through Blackboard and click on the WebAssign link. And so either option will be given to you by your instructor. So once you click on those and enter that information, it's going to ask you to register. Okay, so one of the things about 1314 is that you have first day access, which means that your textbook materials have already been paid for with your tuition. So you're not going to have to pay again for the textbook. Once you register, I do recommend that you use your EPCC email as your username. And if you are taking 1314 and 314 at the same time, you want to make sure that you use the same username. So once you're in this page, you're going to click on Courses, and it's going to take you to your course. Under these options, you'll find other things that you can look at. If you are someone that would rather have a paper copy of the textbook, there are some rental options available. And so you can click here to learn more about that. And under courses, you should be able to see all your courses there that are using Cengage. Let me go back really quick. If you click on your name, you'll be able to change your password, or you can also add another email. Once you're in the system, there's some tools here. For example, if you click on the little globe-looking icon, you'll be able to change your text to another language. For example, to Spanish. If you click on that, then what it does is that it changes the titles of the different categories to Spanish. Okay. Some other things here is you can also receive notifications. For example, if your instructor changes a due date, if they post an announcement or extensions, you can click these and it's going to go ahead and let you know when your instructor has responded or done any of these items here. You can also have reminders. So if there's homework due, you can ask the system to remind you 6 hours ahead of time or any of these times here. Now, under these categories, you should see your ebook. So if you click on your ebook, you'll be able to view your textbook. And sometimes your instructors will put a link in Blackboard, but if you don't see it on Blackboard, then you can come here to WebAssign and get access to your ebook. Under communication, you'll be able to send messages out to your instructor. And then we have, you'll be able to see your grades, of course. And these are visible if your instructor makes it visible. Okay, and then your assignments is where all your assignments will be listed. And then we'll look at some of those here in a second. Okay, so on the right side of the screen, you'll have announcements. If your instructor places announcements, then they'll appear here on the right side. And under resources, you can click on resources, and your instructor might make available PowerPoints or videos. And so that's where you would find them, under resources. The personal study plan is just to give you extra practice. If you want extra practice, then this is a good place to go. And then under your assignments, you're going to see different icons depending on what your instructor is using. If you see a little computer, then that means that this assignment has a password. If we have this little clock looking thing, then that means that you have a time assignment. If you see a lock on it, that means you're using the lockdown browser, and so on. Now within the assignment, if you click on an assignment, you're going to start to see different buttons. So some of the questions would have a read it, which takes you directly to the textbook. Some will have a watch it, which is a video explaining a similar problem. And then you can also click on ask your teacher. Some instructors will have this turned off, but some of us will have it turned on. So if you click on it and you ask your teacher, you can say something like, oh, I'm having problems with this question. Then what the computer does is it sends the instructor a picture of the question that you're working on, and then that way the instructor can see and help you with that question. Now, so that was for WebAssign. This button here, request an extension. A lot of the assignments have automatic extensions. So if you click on that, it's going to ask your instructor for an extension. Some instructors will allow it, some will not. Now for MyMathLab, similar, you would click on student, and it's going to ask you for certain things to register. You're going to need a course ID, and the course ID is usually the name of your professor with some numbers. You're going to need an email, and then for payment, this is also part of the first day access. In order to get your access, you're going to click on this Barnes & Noble's course materials. When you click on it, it's going to give you your access code. So you want to copy that access code, which is I think 16 numbers. So you just copy it, and then you're going to use that access code to enter into your system so that it can pay for your account. Okay, so you would click sign in, and then this one, you don't need this one here because you already have first day access. And again, your course is going to have a course ID that you need to get from your instructor. But if you link, some of you might actually just have to click on Blackboard, and it'll take you through the registration process as well. Once you're inside, then you're going to go ahead and enroll in the course. And then for MyMathLab, it has a little calendar that you can see what assignments are due. And it tells you that you have a homework if it's a circle, if it's a square, it's a quiz, and if it's an announcement, it'll have this symbol here. On the left side of your course, you have something called Multimedia Library. If you click on that, you'll be able to look for PowerPoints or videos or any extra, the textbook that you have. It'll all appear here. You just click the chapter and the section, and then you can get extra resources. The study plan, this is for extra practice. And then accessible resources. This is really nice if you need to look at this, right? And then they have skills for success. If you need to watch some motivating videos on mindset, they'll have that available for you. And then the tools for success, let me go to the next one here. So they have a bunch of stuff there that you can use. So the skills for success, professionalism tools, and the tools for success. This one here, if you're using a calculator, for example, It'll give you steps on how to use your calculator, and it'll also give you like study cards and different type of videos that can help you understand the material. Now inside of the homework, you have question help. There's a help me solve this. If you click on this, it's going to help you answer this question, but you're going to get it wrong. And then when you do it again, it'll count it correct for you. An example will give you a similar problem, and then it also has the Ask My Instructor. Okay, so for example here, they clicked on help me solve this, it counts it wrong, but then it gives you a new problem so that it can count it right for you. It has videos, and the videos here, you can have captions that are English or Spanish. And then your ebook has different opportunities for you to watch videos or do some other stuff in there. So this is just a quick introduction on how to sign up for both. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go into actual topics that you might have seen. So the way Happy Hour works is that every week we're going to be working problems that are supposed to be covered for that week. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Mr. Carrizales, and he's going to go ahead and give you some examples on graphing.
Thank you so much, Yvette, Ms. Chuka. So let's go ahead and cover graphing equations. Okay, so you probably got started on some of these topics in your first week of class for both 1314 and your 1324 classes. Okay, so we're going to be reviewing a little bit point plotting methods, the X and Y intercepts, and transformations of graphs. Okay, so first, when graphing points, let's go ahead and try first this notion of the plotting method. So we're given an equation here, graph the equation, y equals minus 2x plus 5. I know this is an equation because it has an equal symbol in it, yes? All right, so the way the plotting method works is you're going to do a table, okay? So here are variables, the values that can change are my x and y variables, okay? So in your homework, what they do is they'll give you the x value, okay? You don't have to randomly pick one. They'll pick an x value for you. So what you want to do is fill in this table by replacing everywhere you see x with the x value given. Once you have solved for the y value, what they want you to put it on the start column is that as an ordered pair, okay? They're called ordered pairs because we always put first the x, comma, followed by the y, okay? So let's go ahead and do this first one. They're telling me that the first value that I want to evaluate to find y is using x for -2, okay? So here in my equation, y equals, I have -2, I had an x, so I'm going to plug in that -2 plus 5, okay? So
Looking for me?
the -2 times the -2 is going to give me a positive 4. 4 plus 5 will give me 9. So y is equal to 9.
Right.
So my ordered pair here is written as parentheses, -2, comma, 9 parentheses. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and find our next ordered pair. They gave me the x value to be -1. Again, they're giving me the equation, and everywhere I see x, I'm going to plug in this -1. So I have here y is equal to -2 times a -1 plus 5. Okay, and it's always good if you see I'm putting parentheses in here, and the reason why I'm putting parentheses is because I know that whatever is next to it has to be multiplied to a number that has a negative symbol. Yes. Okay, so the -2 times the -1, and negative times the negative is going to give me a positive. So -2 times the -1 is going to give me a positive 2. 2 plus 5 is 7. So my y value is 7. So my ordered pair is going to be x is -1, my y is 7. Okay? And again, this third column is for our ordered pairs. I have 3 more. So they asked me to solve for y when x is equal to 0. So again, the same process again. Here's my equation. I replace x with 0 and go ahead and evaluate or simplify. Yes. So a -2 times 0, that is 0. 0 plus 5 is 5. So my y value is 5. So my ordered pair is going to be, 0, 5. Okay. Now, let's do the last two. Okay, and a little bit faster since hopefully we've got the gist of it, right? So when x is equal to 1, I replace the x with a 1. Negative 2 times a positive 1 is a negative 2. Negative 2 plus 5 is equal to 3. So y is 3. So my ordered pair is 0, 3. Okay, always first the x, then the y. And then the last variable for x is equal to 2. Again, everywhere I see 2, x, I'm going to plug in 2. So negative 2 times 2 is a negative 4. Negative 4 plus 5 is a positive 1. So y equals 1. So my ordered pair is 2, 1. Okay, there's a little typo here. This should be 2. Okay, all right. So what I can do next is I can plot these in my rectangular coordinate plane, or for my MATLAB, they call this the Cartesian plane. Okay, so we have two axes. We have an x-axis, which is going to be a horizontal axis, and we have our vertical axis, which we call this our y-axis. Okay, so the position that we put these values, again, we're going to plot these ordered pairs. So for example, this first one, I have a negative 2. So again, I have 0 here in the middle. So the values that are negative are to the left of 0. So I'll go 2 positions to the right. 9 refers to the y value. That's a positive number. So the numbers are positive above this horizontal line. So I'd go 9 positions up. So here, the plot of negative 2, 9 is this point here. It's just a little dot, and that would be my first order pair. Okay, and I can follow suit with the following values. Okay, here x is negative 1, y is 7, so it's 1 unit to the left, 7 units up, and I plot my point. The next value, 0, 5, there's no movement either to the left or right of 0, so I stay here, and then I move 5 units up. Okay, and then there's my point. Then my next one, I have a 0, let's see here. It should be 1, 3. Again, there's a typo here. There should be 1, 3. So I go 1 unit up, 1 unit to the right, and 3 units up. And then the last one, again, there's a typo. Should be 2, 1. I'm going to go 2 units to the right and 1 unit up. So the dots are in the correct place. Just the ones over here on the table are incorrect. Okay. So again, if you see here, they can all match up, and we can connect all these with a line. Okay, so what I just did, this table produced a line. Okay, all right, so when we're dealing with lines, again, both for WebAssign and Pearson, you're just going to see the line like you saw before, but keep in mind that this is just like a snapshot of the graph. Again, here I can only see a portion of it, but my lines go forever, up or to the left, you can say, and the lines go forever to the right or down in this case, right? So there's arrows here, but the system won't put them. But just keep in mind that this is not just this is what you see here. These are lines that go forever to the left and forever to the right. Okay. Okay. So another way of plotting points, given this equation, is we can try it one more time, doing the plotting method by doing a table. Okay. Again, the system will give me already options for x. They're giving me these negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. My goal is to find the y value and then put it as an ordered pair. Okay, so let's go down the row. So we have y is equal to 5 minus, I have an x, so I'm going to replace that with the negative 2. And in this case, it's more important to also have those parentheses because we have that square value there. Okay, that superscript means that I have to apply or I have 2 negative 2's, not just to the 2, it's to this whole number, which is the negative 2. Yes? All right, so here, a negative 2 times a negative 2 will produce a positive 4, but had a subtraction out there, right? So we have 5 minus 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. So my y value is 1. So my ordered pair, again, first x, then y, negative 2, 1. Okay, let's do the next point. Again, x is equal to negative 1. So negative 1 squared means that I have 2 negative 1's. Negative 1 times negative 1 is going to be a positive 1. So we have 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. So my y value is 4. Again, my ordered pair is negative 1, 4. Let's use the x equal to 0. So 0 squared is 0. 5 minus 0 is 5. So y equals 5. So my ordered pair is 0, 5. Now I have x is equal to 1. 1 squared is 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. So y equals to 4. So my ordered pair is 1, 4. Okay. Now the last one, x equals 2. There's two of these. 2 squared is 2 times 2 is 4. So 5 minus 4 is 1. So y equals to 1. So my ordered pair is 2, 1. Let's go ahead and plot these in my, again, Cartesian plane or rectangular coordinate system. Okay, so we do the first one, negative 2. So that means 2 units to the left of 0, 1 unit up. Next one, negative 1, 4. That means 1 unit to the left of 0, 4 units up. It's right there. Yes? Then the next one, there's no movements to the left or right of 0 because it's 0 for x, but I do have 5 units up. So that's, or 5 is a positive number, so it's 5 units up. It'll be right there. So it's a point. Then the next one is 1, 4. So 1 unit to the right, 4 units up. There it is. Okay. And then the last one, 2, 1. 2 units to the right, 1 unit up. There's a dot. And again, we can try to do a smooth connection to these points. Again, but the system will do this for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And again, the only thing that the system won't do is put these arrows. You won't see these little arrows on your computer, but it'll do this graph, okay? And later on, we'll study what this graph means, and it has a special name, okay? All right. So let's go ahead and try a different method of also graphing and plotting, okay? And one of the other methods is this concept of finding its intercepts. So when your homework asks you to find the x or y intercepts or intercepts, what they're talking about is they want to find out when the graph is crossing either your x-axis, which is your horizontal line, or your y-axis, which is your vertical line. Okay, so let's go do this. So the way we do it algebraically is to find the y-intercept, the one that's here in red. If you see here, we're going to set x equal to 0, and that would allow us to find algebraically the y-intercept. If I want to find the x-intercept, if I want to find out where the graph is crossing the x-axis, this horizontal line, what I have to do is set y equal to 0, and that will allow me to find the x-intercept. Okay, so the intercepts are where the lines are crossing either my x or y axis. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice this. Setting y equal to 0 to find my x-intercept, setting x equal to 0 to find my y-intercept. Okay, and again, we'll replace these values and solve and simplify. Okay. All right, so for instance, in this particular equation that I have y is equal to negative 2x plus 5. So let's first find our x-intercept. So if I want to find my x-intercept, I'm going to let y equal 0, okay? So I have here a y, I'll replace it with 0. So I have 0 is equal to negative 2x plus 5. So to solve for x, I want to isolate x, so I want to get rid of the stuff that's furthest from x first to do my order of operations. So I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. So when I do that, I'm going to end up with negative 5 is equal to negative 2x. So again, I'm solving for x. So the negative 2 is being multiplied to the x. So to simplify, I need to divide both sides by a negative 2. Okay? So when I do that, again, negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. 1 times x is just the x. Negative 5 divided by a negative 2, a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive. So x is equal to 5 over 2. Okay, so this is my x-intercept. Now, word of caution, okay, when you're solving these on your homework, if your homework doesn't say to round, do not use a calculator, okay? They want to have the exact answer. They want the fraction format. They want to see 5 over 2. Okay, so if you put 2.5, it might count it wrong or tell you do not estimate. Okay, the only time that you should use a calculator is if it tells you to round. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Just little hints for you in the future. Okay, So if I want to find the y-intercept, again, very similarly, instead of letting y equal to 0, now I'm going to let x equal to 0. Okay, so again, I have this equation, y equals minus 2x plus 5. Everywhere I see x, I'm going to plug in 0. So negative 2 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 5 is 5. So my ordered pair is 0, 5. Okay, so now that I have these 2 points, I can graph. Okay, I have the x-intercept and y-intercept. And let me give you another hint, okay? When graphing, especially if you're using WebAssign or Pearson, you're really only going to need 2 points to graph any graph given, okay? So when I go to my Cartesian plane, or again, my rectangular coordinate system, okay? This is my x-axis, this is my y-axis. So my y-intercept, when x was 0, y was 5. So here's my point here. To find my x-intercept, again, since this is a computer, I get it rounded, but since this is a computer, it evaluates that fraction. Okay, you can put the fraction and it's going to evaluate the 2.5. So it's going to go here. So when y was 0, the x is the 2.5. All right, so or 5 halves. So now that I have those 2 points, again, I just connect those 2 dots and it gives me my line that I had before, because the same equation that I had done. So again, finding the x-intercepts is very useful also for graphing. Okay. All right. So what I'll do now is I'll pass it on to my other colleague, Mr. Isasi, and he'll talk to you about writing equations of lines. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruben. Yes, hello, students. My name is Albert Isasi, and I'll be going over writing equations of a line. To start off, there's 3 forms of writing a line. The first form is ax plus by equals c, which is called the general form. Y minus y sub 1 equals to m, which is my slope. X minus x sub 1 is called the point slope form. And the most famous one is called the y-intercept form, which is y equals to mx plus b. Okay, so for example, on the y-intercept form, my slope is my m, and my b is my y-intercept. Okay, so then it says here at the bottom, if you know the slope and the y-intercept, you can always write the equation. But not every time it's going to be as smooth as what it says here. At times, you're going to have to solve, for the slope. Okay, now this is the first example. It says writing equations of a line. It says write the equation of a line with a slope of 4 and the y-intercept of 5. Okay, so my slope is 4 and the y-intercept is 5. So m equals to 4 and b equals to 5. So all we do is plug in the numbers, right? The 4 replaces the m and the 5 replaces the b. So this is the equation that they're looking for. Y equals to 4x plus 5. Here's another example. Write the equation of a line with a slope of -2 and passes through the point 0, -4. Okay, now here, recall that 0, -4, right? It's from the example y equals to mx plus b, 0, -4 or 0b is my y-intercept. So here, guys, you guys should know that this is my y-intercept or my b is -4. So here, for the solution, it says, do we know the slope? Yeah, because it's given, -2. Do we know the intercept, which is the y-intercept? Yes, also we do, because the y-intercept is equal to 0b, and my b is equal to my -4. So we have both variables that we need. My slope is -2, and the y-intercept is going to be -4. Right, so now we're going to write it in y equals to mx plus b. So we're going to plug in the values. We're going to plug in -2 for 4, -2 for the m, and we're going to plug in -4 for the b. So my equation is y equals to -2x minus 4. Okay, now write the equation of a line that passes through the points 1, -3, and 0, 0, 4. So in this case, are we given the slope and the y-intercept? No, we're not, right? They don't give us the slope. So we need to find the slope. But the y-intercept is going to be 4, because recall that my y-intercept is 0b. This is when x is 0. This is my y-intercept, which is going to be 4. So we got the y-intercept, but we don't have my slope. So how do we find it? We find it by using the slope formula. Okay, let me continue here. This is how to find my slope. My slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. This, my first point is going to be my point 1, and the second point is going to be my point 2. It doesn't matter which point you want to call point 1 or point 2. But I tell my students that the first point, we'll just call it point 1, and the second point, we're going to call it point 2. So now, right, so since this is point 1, this will be x sub 1 and y sub 1. So this is point 2, the 0, 4. We're going to call the 0 x2 and my 4 y2. So all we do is plug them into the formula, and we do just basic algebra. So my y2 was 4. Right, minus my y1 was -3, my x2 was 0, and my x1 is 1. So here, guys, when you have 4 minus -3, it turns into a positive. And on the denominator, which is the bottom part, 0 minus 1 will give you -1. So 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 divided by -1, my slope is -7. I found my slope. Now, what's the y-intercept? Again, recall that that whenever the x is 0, whatever value you see on the y section, that'll be my y-intercept. So in this case, my y-intercept is going to be 0, 4, which means my b is equal to 4, right? So here's my the Poincare formula: y equals to mx plus b. I got my slope, which is -7. I'm going to plug it in where the m is. And I got my b, which is 4. I'm going to plug it in where the b is. So this is my final equation that we're looking for. Okay, now here's another example here. It says write the equation of a line that passes through the points. Here they give us the points to 0 and -1, 4. Okay, now, so this is my first point. We're going to repeat the process as the previous example. Since this is my first point, this will be x sub 1, and the 0 will be y sub 1. Since this is my point 2, the -1, 4, my x sub 2 will be -1, and my y sub 2 will give us a 4. So all we do is plug it into the formula. And right, so my y2 is 4, minus my y1 is 0, my x2 is -1 on the denominator, minus my x sub 1 is 2. So at the numerator, which is the top portion of the fraction, will give us 4 minus 0 will give us 4. And the denominator, which is the bottom portion of the fraction, -1 minus 2 will give us -3. So my slope is -4/3. Now, what's the y-intercept? A lot of students might think that 2, 0 is my y-intercept, but recall, the y-intercept is when x is 0, whatever the y value is, that's my y-intercept. In this case, this is not my y-intercept. You see, guys, here's what I mentioned, that this is a common mistake that students make. So we cannot do that, right? So then we have to find the y-intercept by using the other formula, which is called the point slope formula, which is y minus y sub 1 equals to m, x minus x sub 1, right? And then we want it in this form. Or we can use two ways, right? We can use this way or also this way to find my b. But let's use this example first, how to use the point slope formula. Okay, now, so here you have to choose one point. You can either choose the first point or the second point, it doesn't matter. But when I tell my students to avoid confusion, just keep to the first one, right? Because the formula requires y sub 1 minus, and then x sub 1, right? So that's why I'll just use the first point. But like I said, you can use either point, it doesn't matter, okay? So here we decide to use the point 2, 0, because since we have a 0, the algebra will be a little bit easier. Okay, so here we have right, the point 2, 0, so that means my x sub 1 is 2 and my y sub 1 is 0. So all we do is plug him in on the right place, right? My y1 is 0 and my x1 is 2. So we have y minus 0 equals to -4/3, parentheses, x minus 2. So here on the left side, right? On the left side, it's going to give us just y. On the right side, we're going to distribute the negative 4/3. For example, negative 4/3 times x will give us a negative 4/3 x. Negative 4/3 times negative 2 will give us a positive 8/3. And this is the equation that we're looking for. Okay, now again, here it is, right? Again, let me go again. Let me click the other slide. Now, we're going to use the other formula, which is the y equals to mx plus b. Okay, here, by using the formula, right, we're going to keep the same point, which is 2, 0. We're going to plug in 0 where the y is, and we're going to plug in 2 right where the x is, right? This is my y, the 0, and my x is 2. So 0 equals 2 times negative 4/3 will give us negative 8/3 plus b. Then on the step here, the next step, we're going to add 8/3 to both sides to solve for b. So if we add 8/3 to both sides, it's going to give us b equals to 8/3. So again, right, my slope was negative 8/3. I mean, my slope was negative 4/3, and my b is 8/3. So this is my equation. You see, we get the same one. Okay, now this is another example, writing the equation of a line that is parallel to the line y equals to negative 2x plus 4, and passes through the point negative 3, 4. What you have to know about parallel lines, they have the same slope. Okay, so in this case, let me move on to the next slide. Right, so this is really the concept here. This is what we're looking for. If you happen to graph the line y equals to negative 2x plus 4 will be this line here. Okay, eventually you'll be learning how to graph, I believe, in chapter 2. Okay, so we want to find another line that passes through this point here, and it's parallel. So really, we're looking for the line that goes all the way down and passes through this point here. I believe it's going to be on your next slide. You see, this is the line that we're looking for. Okay. And again, this line is the given line, y equals to negative 2x plus 4. So we know that my slope is negative 2, right? So since parallel lines have the same slope, we know we're going to use the negative 2 as my slope to find the other equation. And the point passes to negative 3/4. So now we have enough info to actually find the equation that we're looking for. Okay, and again, right? So again, this is my point, negative 3, 4. This is my x sub 1, my y sub 1, and my m is negative 2. So we're going to plug them into the formula, right? Either the point slope formula or the slope intercept formula. First, right? So we're going to use the point slope formula. So again, my slope is negative 2, right? My slope was negative 2, but there it is because they're parallel lines. And my x1 is negative 3, and my y1 is 4. So we plug them in where they belong, right? My y1 is 4 from the point. My slope is negative 2, right? We plug it in for the m. And my x1 is negative 3. Now, we just do basic algebra, right? So the x minus negative 3 becomes a positive. Now we have to distribute on the right side, right? I'm going to distribute the negative 2 times x and negative 2 times positive 3. So it's going to give us negative 2x minus 6. Now, remember, we have to isolate the y because we want it in the point slope formula, which is y equals to mx plus b. So this negative 4 cannot be here. So here we're going to add 4 to both sides. Right, there it is. So then we have negative 2x minus 6 plus 4. Negative 6 plus 4 will give us negative 2. So my final equation will be negative 2x minus 2. This is the answer that we're looking for, or the equation that we're looking for. Right? Now, here's another equation, another example, but now they want to use the same equation. I believe y equals to negative 2x plus 4 passes through the same point, negative 3, 4, but instead of being parallel, they want it perpendicular. For perpendicular lines, you have to remember that for two lines to be perpendicular, say once you find the slope for the first line, right? For example, for this one here, y equals to negative 2x plus 4, my slope is -2. So to find the slope or the line that's perpendicular to that one, that slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal. Opposite means that you're going to change the sign, and reciprocal means that you're going to invert the fraction. So for example, -2 can be rewritten as -2/1. So for it to be perpendicular, it's going to be +1/2, because the opposite of negative is going to be positive. The reciprocal of 2 will be 1/2. Okay, and I believe I kind of went a little bit ahead, but let me what we're talking about here. This is a line, right, that was given, which is y equals to -2x plus 4. We're trying to find a line that's perpendicular, which means perpendicular means that it forms a 90-degree angle, which means a line that goes passes through this point and it crosses the given line at a 90-degree angle, which will be on your next slide. You see, this is the line that we're looking for. Okay, again, this is a given line, y equals to -2x plus 4. And we're trying to find this line that's perpendicular to the given line and passes through the point -3, 4. So we know, right, that my slope is -2. But we don't want to find it parallel, we want it perpendicular. Therefore, we're going to use, right, the opposite reciprocal of -2 is 1/2. Like I said on the previous, 2 slides ago, that the opposite of negative is going to give us a positive. The reciprocal of 2 will be 1/2. So I got my slope, right, to find this equation, and I got my point. So now we just keep repeating the process as what we did earlier. We can use either formula. So let's use again the point slope formula, right? Again, my slope is 1/2. Plug it in for the m. My x1 is -3. Plug it in for the x1 is. And my y1 is 4. We plug it in for the y1 is, right? So we just replace it. Now we just do a little bit of algebra, right? So 2 negatives becomes a positive. Now we're going to distribute. Right, let's distribute here. So it's going to be 1/2 times x will give us 1/2 x. 1/2 times +3 will give us 3/2. Now we have to have the y isolated. So we have to add 4 to both sides. Once we do that, we're going to get y equals to 1/2 x plus 3/2 plus 4. Now we got to add 3/2 plus a whole number, right? I mean, or an integer. So we got to get the least common denominator. And this will give us 8/2, right? Because 8/2 is 4. And then we add them, so we're going to get 11. Right there, it is 8/2. So we're going to get 11/2 for the b. So this is my final equation. Y equals to 1/2 x plus 11/2. And I believe that was our last slide. And that concludes today's presentation. And I'll take you back to the host of Friday Happy Hour.
Okay, thank you very much to our fabulous instructors, Ms. Chuca, Mr. Carrizales, and Mr. Isasi. And thank you everyone for logging in today to the Happy Math Hour. I'd like to remind everyone that we also have student success topics at 1 p.m. In this room. We're going to be covering tutoring resources and Tejano Passport at 1 p.m. Also, and an invitation for next week for the Happy Math Hour at 11 a.m. We're going to have, again, a combined session for Math 1314 and 1324, where we will cover evaluate combination of functions and composite functions. And for student success at 1 p.m., we will have the EPCC Mental Health Committee doing a presentation. So thank you very much. Remember to always provide your EPCC student ID number to the staff collecting data so that you can get credit for this session. Thank you. Welcome back to spring semester and have a wonderful weekend.